was a time when you thought of England, our great British land, as it were. Well, you thought of green and pleasant land, didn't you? You thought of people in bowler hats, afternoon tea, all of that sort of stuff. Everything that defines us as a nation, even though it's not really true anymore. It's the imagery, isn't it? It doesn't matter where you are in the world. Everybody has that, don't they? Whether it's the wonderful flamenco dancing in Spain or indeed a Greek taverna. Everybody has the things that people assume are the everyday things. And of course, when you go there, it's totally different. Still beautiful, but not exactly the way that you thought. Over here in the United Kingdom, though, the current government seems sort of hell-bent on wiping out anything that has history, heritage, and a touch of glamour. You see, take a look at this picture. This is a tube station in the very heart of London at Whitechapel, right? Now, what's interesting, as everybody knows, Whitechapel is infamous for, yes, the Jack the Ripper history. Now, what's interesting here is, take a look. As you can see, Whitechapel and a completely, well, yes, another language in the very heart of London. According to a source, though, this person wants to see a lot more of that to make us more inclusive. Let me explain. Morning, nice to see you. Thank you so much for your time today. Lovely to have your company. It's a strange thing, isn't it? You know, when you go, say, to any country, you don't expect necessarily to have to know the language. I totally agree with that. You know, I've been to Paris and have struggled with French, and I'm sure we all have a few words of Spanish, all of that sort of stuff. But you try your best. But people mainly speak English, or we can get a communication going. Everybody understands a few words of it. It's it's the world's language in many respects, isn't it? I admire all languages because I think they're very hard to literally learn. But of course, when things are forced on you over here in the United Kingdom, you do get very angry, as are a lot of residents, particularly in the Whitechapel area. You see, the current Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, wants to see more of this, apparently. Renaming of stations, tube stations, for all the different people that are now apparently living in our capital city. Many, of course, we don't know where they've come from, they have no papers and they're here illegally. But that's not a problem, of course, for old Sadie. As long as he's in the picture, making out that he's very inclusive, he's not too fussed. Although many other people are now getting very angry about this because, as they're saying, well, how many languages do you want to put up? For instance, you could say that in the very heart of London, near Leicester Square, there's a thriving Chinese community. Are we supposed to have, their language put up outside Leicester Square Tube? You get the picture. It becomes ridiculous. But apparently this is where he wants to push it forward. Now, there are stories circulating around that the historic London Pavilion in the very heart of London, right in the centre of Piccadilly Circus, at points could be turned into a mosque. These are the headlines, right? Now, what's fascinating here is, what a lot of people don't realise is, that if that is the case and it suddenly becomes a mosque, how will the traffic then be able to go through if it's all shut down for their weekly Friday prayers? You get the picture. So these are the things now that are engulfing many people over here in English life who are very unhappy about this, given the fact that also the current government is the same person that's aligned to the Mayor of London. Now, when you speak openly, basically he says, oh, no, that's not the case. But according to sources, and as ever, I have to say allegedly, behind the scenes, this is exactly what he wants to see happen. The thing is, if you live here in London, do you? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.